And we've asked for those documentations also. If it is, then it's perjury and fraud the past number of years using a different name. Remember, let me go back to my opening statement. He graduated Harvard Law School. We're talking about a very educated person. He was head of the Harvard Law Review. He taught constitutional law. You know, his wife is an attorney. I personally think if and when the right court handles this matter, I think that Barack Obama and Michelle Obama and good old Howard Dean, the head of the Democratic National Committee, and others at the Democratic National Committee, and individuals on Obama's campaign staff should really be tried criminally, and many of them should go to jail. This really is the biggest hoax ever contemplated against our country in 200 years. Now, I also mentioned the other fact that at age 20, he went to Pakistan. In his book, he states, I went to Pakistan on my Indonesia passport. Again, one of two things occurred. If he claims to be a United States citizen at that time, he has then done an overt act against the United States because U.S. citizens were prohibited from going to Pakistan in 1981. And then if he was a U.S. citizen, he would have lost his status when he went to get his Indonesia passport. I think what happened is he's always had his Indonesia passport. Someone did a Freedom of Information and came back that he never applied for a U.S. passport. I can't confirm that yet. We've now also requested that, but I haven't personally done it. Until I do, I'm not 100% sure. But that would make sense. Now, then how's he traveling? Well, he could have traveled on his Indonesia passport, and once he became a U.S. senator, he's probably traveling on a diplomatic passport. But we have a Harvard Law School graduate who refuses to release his records from Occidental University, from Columbia University, from Harvard. I came up with about a month and a half ago, and a lot of people are agreeing with me, why he won't release those records. I believe those records will indicate that he's a citizen of Indonesia. He probably applied for and received foreign aid, and that's why he won't release his records. I can't see any other reason because McCain released his records and said he graduated 5th from the bottom of his class at the Naval Academy, so it has nothing to do with grades, I don't believe. Why else? He won't release his medical records. He won't release his records from the State Senate in Illinois. He will not release any records. Now, we're not asking for his Social Security number. We're not asking for his bank account number. We're not asking how much money in the bank. We're asking, first off, for his birth certificate. Now, a gentleman called me and said, remember that certification of live birth he used? A gentleman said, I carried my certification of live birth in my wallet for 40 years. I went to get a passport, and they told me that it wasn't valid. They had to get a passport. They had to get the original birth certificate for the passport. A woman called me, she said she tried to place her son into Little League, and she took a certification of live birth, and he said, no, you need your birth certificate. We all need birth certificates sometime in our lifetime, for Little League, for baptism, for college, sometimes selective service, for your passport, for certain colleges, for certain applications, for jobs, certain type proceedings. So what is so difficult, Mr. Obama, to produce your birth certificate? But as I stated, I really could care less about the birth certificate. More significant, ladies and gentlemen, is the certification of citizenship from Indonesia. But that would only show he's naturalized, and I'm sure he has it. So I was dismissed in my case because of one reason, because they said I didn't have standing. What that means is I don't have standing, Bob doesn't have standing, no one in this room has standing, and the judge went on and said, well, perhaps in the future Congress will figure out who has standing. I'm asking a question which all of us should be permitted to question the Constitution. Now again, we're not trying to interpret difficult words like in that movie, what was it? I'll probably mispronounce it, supercalifragilisticexpialidocious. I don't even know what it means. But we're asking, the qualifications are 3. First, you must be 35 years of age. He is. Second, you must have lived in this country for 14 straight years. He has, even though there's a question about that now, but let's give him the 14. And the other is natural born. It's not that difficult. It's not that difficult. So hopefully the Supreme Court will give us standing in this case. If they don't, right now I told you I filed for the application for the injunction. Hopefully we'll do that pending our writ of certiorari in the case. And if not, there's actions being filed, you'll hear from in California in a minute, and other actions all across this nation to prevent the Electoral College vote being allowed until he proves his qualifications. Now, hopefully the Supreme Court will take this, because there's nothing more important, I believe, and when I was introduced, you heard, I'm a Democrat. And people were shocked because people thought I'm a disgruntled Republican, and I'm for McCain, and that's why I'm doing this. I'm doing this for one reason. There's nothing more important than our U.S. Constitution. And if we don't want to stand up for that, it's time to leave this country. Because if we can't have the Constitution enforced, and I'm talking about basic words, our founding fathers drafted this. My office is in Lafayette Hill, which is right outside of Philadelphia. And many times I say it's halfway between Philadelphia, where our nation was born, and Valley Forge, where our battle of freedom was won. People have lost their lives and died over the years to enforce our Constitution. People around the world want to try to copy and admire and follow our U.S. Constitution. And it's being trampled on right now. This is a disgrace that we have to hold this news conference. It's a disgrace that you had to run your ads in the Chicago newspaper. It's a disgrace that I ran ads in the Washington Times. I did it again this week, the Washington Times and Human Events. It's a disgrace in December, after an election, we're still questioning. And the problem is, and I'm glad the media is here, and I hope this gets out, I wish I could sue, and I don't know if you're here, if you are, I don't care. I wish I could sue ABC and NBC and CBS and MSNBC and Fox, and even Fox, because, and New York Times and Washington Post, because you guys, if you're here, if not, you're all a disgrace for not covering this story, at least since August of this year when I filed the suit. But it should have occurred before that. You guys have been traveling with him for 2 years, and he's the most unvetted person. People have decided he shall be president. Well, allow him to be president if he meets the qualifications. But I can't believe that no one, the national press travels with him every day. You guys have access. Someone could stand up and say, where's your birth certificate? What's your status from Indonesia? I think it's a disgrace. And if you are there, take it back to your media, and I'll talk to anyone about it. I've been on radio show after radio show. I'll go wherever, and the words I'm saying here today are for publication. This is the biggest disgrace in our country's history, and Obama is the big disgrace. If he can show he's qualified, what he should do right now is this. He should say, I, as an African American, received more votes than anyone else on November 4th, 2008 for the office of President of the United States. But because of things in my background, I cannot serve, and he should step down now to avoid a crisis. One last thing, and I know I've talked for a while. People are saying, Phil, to me, Phil, do you know what you're doing? Do you know that if you continue on this and Obama ends up not being president, that there's going to be race riots, and property is going to be damaged, and people are going to be injured, and people are going to be killed? And my response was, I'll give you two responses. One, I said, okay, then do you want me to go down to the Liberty Bell and take a copy of the Constitution and a copy of the Declaration of Independence and rip it up right across from Independence Hall and down the street from Constitutional Hall? Is that what you want me to do? Or do you want us to stand up and fight for why people have fought and died for this for the past 200 years? And ladies and gentlemen, not one piece of property should be lost, not one injury should occur, not one death, because this all goes back to one individual, Barack Obama. He knows what he is and what he's done, and he should get up there and say what I just said. He should step down, and he should ask for peace and tranquility. What we are trying to do, the people I'm working with, we want a peaceful revolution to enforce the U.S. Constitution. Thank you.
That's all right. Leo D'Onofrio, has he arrived? Don't know where Leo is, but let me say this about Leo D'Onofrio. He's an attorney from New Jersey, and he's